I'm Tony Poulos and I'm here today with Phil Andrews, who is the Vice President of Enterprise Sales for Asia Pacific at Red Hat. Phil, wonderful to catch up. Firstly, tell me a little bit about Red Hat.
So we're a company that's pioneered the use of open source technology inside enterprises. So open source is an area get the most innovative software, ostensibly free, but effectively we make it safe and condition it for use in enterprise businesses. And we built a $2 billion business on top of that, servicing most of the major organizations, banks, telcos, governments in the world.
We're hearing a lot about NFE or network function virtualization. What are the benefits of NFE and what are the current challenges for adoption of NFE?
Well, this is a massive transformation inside the telco industry. The telco industry has moved from what is ostensibly buying very specific, very proprietary equipment for use in huge telco networks. And once they bought it, they're locked in. So NFE is taking the network functionality, virtualizing it, and putting it into a layer of software. So effectively, the telecommunication provider can buy standard commoditized equipment and run multiple network functions in that equipment purely in software, free from lock-in, able to do whatever they want on top of this commoditized hardware. Very, very next generation in terms of building out the network.
Can you share an example of how Red Hat's technology has helped telcos to solve specific challenges and how Red Hat solutions are able to help telcos address specific problems that they may encounter?
Well, if you think about the challenges of moving from effectively proprietary equipment to commoditized compute hardware with all the capability to be programmed to be anything it could be, you have to look at what is it that are the critical strategic decisions you have to make. So firstly, it's what software do you buy for the network functionality and what hardware do you buy to go underneath that. Now all software runs on an operating platform, and what open source has done is brought in a product called OpenStack, which is a freely available piece of software. What Red Hat does to enable this is to make OpenStack enterprise class and then provide the certification capability for a layer of Red Hat would allow you to choose whatever you want underneath it and whatever you want above it to provide functionality in the hardware. Effectively, it's Switzerland between the software provider and the hardware layer.
What can telcos learn from the open source development model?
Well, open source is one of those areas that provides sharing, and sharing without patent protection. So effectively, everybody gets the same information, everybody can share, everybody can build on it. It's a little bit like Kaizen for software. So when you see the acceleration of innovation, I think there are something like 1.4 million open source projects, all contributing to software development in the world industry. You would not get that in a proprietary environment. So telecoms providers are learning to harness this innovation and also working with companies like Red Hat and the big telco providers to make sure it's suitable for use 5 nines telco grade environments, because service is everything.
Telcos seem to be watching and waiting as if they need to be convinced about the benefits of NFE. What do you think will get them moving towards and committing to NFE?
Well, I think a lot of them are committed to the direction strategically, but if you think these are companies that have spent 30, 40 years buying big projects from large vendors, and now they have the freedom to choose the kind of technology they put. If they have the Switzerland layer, they can choose what goes on top, what goes underneath. But they still have the telco kind of responsibilities, which is very, very solid uptime, service to the customer, maintainability, life cycle management. And when you've got to look at that, you don't rush into anything. You'll do the pilots, you'll test it out, you'll check everything will fully work, and then you start bit by bit to replace the technology that's going end of life. As you do that, you start to build more flexibility into the network, and then you start to see it rock. Effectively, this is what enterprise has done in, let's say, the compute industry, moving from mainframes to client server to desktops to internet. It's not ever been done overnight. It's been done as a journey.
What sort of messages and trends are you hearing CXOs talking about when you meet with them these days?
Well, I think the ability to make money becomes more and more difficult. You're providing huge amounts of bandwidth, more and more services in a hugely competitive environment. So effectively, you need the flexibility to layer new services on top. You need the ability to repurpose the entire network. You need the ability to put in higher bandwidths. and you need to be able to be competitive at the price end of the market. So everything is about what new services can you deliver and how can you remain competitive. And the competitiveness is about retaining customers and delivering great service at the right value point.
And what do you think are the biggest opportunities for telcos to remain relevant and even innovative these days?
I think the NFV and this new next generation software-defined networking gives them the opportunity to layer in new services to the customer, and it's new services, reliability and the extension of bandwidth. So if you think about new services, what's coming? You're looking at the Internet of Things. Many of the businesses we look at today are generating software to help connect things to the internet so they can measure jet engines, cars, all of this kind of thing. It's all going to involve mobility. It's all going to involve the telco network connecting everything together. The Internet of Things is going to be huge. And then there's services on top for people from your smartphone. What additional services can you get? Automating and mobilizing your workforce based on mobility, the kind of savings you can get in mobility, and also the service a telco can offer if they have mobility platforms available, stickiness to keep the customer to the telco. There's a huge amount of opportunity presented by the way technology is moving.